Welcome back to Leeds Lately, where today I'm going to be talking about Leeds winning 2-0 at Elland Road against Crystal Palace. So we'll start this video as we always do and get straight into it. It was the same starting 11 that faced Everton in the week, and I think we were a bit unlucky in that game, as you'll see if you want to check out my match reaction from that game. This game started off with a bang, 3 minutes in and we're 1-0 up from a Harrison deflected strike. Now, we got a bit lucky with that, but Bielsa does like to press in his first sort of 10-20 minutes of a game and try and get ahead. Hence that stat actually that keeps cropping up when we do go ahead on the broadcast is that we haven't ever lost under Bielsa when going ahead first, and he likes to get a goal early as well to get a sort of foothold in the game and have something to build on really. I was going to say something to defend, but it's not like that with Bielsa. It's definitely something to build on and try and get more goals. About 7 minutes later, we had another very good chance where a ball was whipped into the box and Bamford headed it. It was more of like a glancing header than a power header, and it sort of flicked off his head on the left-hand side and hit the bottom of the left-hand post. Now, Leeds dominated the ball as we knew they were going to in this first half, but early on it did look like Palace had the same sort of effect as they did when we played them at their places, where your Ayus and your Eze's, Zaha wasn't available today, which was a big factor in this game I think, but your Ayus and your Eze's, those players who can just beat a man, they were the sort of danger men that you're looking at in this game, because once they beat a man and they spring the counter-attack, Leeds are a bit up in the air because of the man-for-man marking system. But today I think we did it quite well, and I think Strike and Cooper had good games at the back, blocking shots and just sort of pushing them into areas where they weren't going to get a great shot on target. On the 22-minute mark, Bamford had a great chance where a Palace defender misplaced a pass and it rolled straight into the path of Bamford. Now, Bamford almost did a give and go with himself. He knocked it round the player, ran round the other side of the player to where he'd knocked the ball, picked it up on the opposite side of the player and threw on goal. I think he was a bit caught up in the fact that he'd just done that bit of skill really to get past his defender, and when he eventually did take the shot, he blazed it over the bar. From about 30 to 35 minutes, Palace had a good little foothold in the game. I thought they got on the ball a little bit more. They held up possession more, and they came into our half and tried to create some more chances. They didn't really create anything clear cut, but when they did create something, it was a bit of a pot shot from the edge of the box from Ayew, which Melee just gobbled up easily. He just caught that, held it in his hands, and we were away again. Usually I wouldn't mention something unless it was important to the actual game, but I can't not mention what Rafinha did to Cahill. To do that whilst sprinting, he stopped it with his left foot, span backwards and backheeled it through Gary Cahill's legs, ran round him and got it on the other side, but Cahill just thought, no, you're not doing this to me. But Rafinha had already mugged him off. So Cahill grabs him and pulls him down, and Leeds win a free kick, which nothing really comes of. There was a couple more chances for Leeds before half-time, most notably the one that was whipped across the box and Strike headed wide. I don't know what that was. You can make the excuse that he's a centre-half and he's almost got a nosebleed being in that position, but I don't know what. The commentator described it perfectly. It was an absolute 50p head, or in my experience of amateur football in the area I play, a bicky tin head. So we went in at half time 1-0 up, and it's one of those games where, because of what Palace had done to us in their home leg, I was a little bit worried because we didn't punish them when we did have the chances to. So I was thinking that if we didn't get a goal early on in the second half, then they would have a much better chance of coming back into the game. Even without Zaha, they have got quality in some of the players. I thought they would have a chance of coming back into the game, especially if they got one early. Then I think we would have lost the game. As it happens, on the 50th minute, Palace were breaking, 3 Palace attackers, 2 Leeds defenders. It gets played out to the right hand side to Ayew, and he is indecisive. He almost can't believe where he is with the ball, and he takes too long and allows Cooper to get out to him and get a block in. 2 minutes later, Scott Dan gives the ball away in midfield, and it falls to Rafinha, who has a shot that's saved brilliantly by Guaita, and it falls perfectly in the path of Patrick Bamford, who just calmly slots it home for his 100th career goal, which is a bit of a milestone for him, to be honest, because especially, well, it's a bit of a milestone for anyone, but the amount of critical review that he's had in not just his time at Leeds but his whole career, he's always been told he's not good enough. But to get that is a bit of a stuff you to anybody who said that he wasn't good enough, and especially doing it in the Premier League. He's on 12 goals, and that's, I think, top goal scorer at the moment is Salah with 16, and there's about 4 or 5 people behind him with 13, and Bamford's on 12 now, so he gets another one on Sunday against Arsenal, and you're looking at joint second top goal scorer in the league if nobody else on that list scores. I thought Leeds were better in the second half with the ball. We had a lot of possession in the first half, and we did create quite a fair few chances, but the quality of the chances that we started to create in the second half was actually, I thought, much better. We were putting the ball into much more dangerous areas and getting players on the end of it more. We had a bit of a lacklustre day in front of goal. That's why it was only 2-0, but it could have been a lot more. In the 66th minute, Batshuayi came on for Mateta. Now Mateta, I think, is somebody that we were linked with, Jean-Philippe Mateta from Mainz. I think he's 23 years old, French striker. I think we were linked with him in the January transfer window as a loan signing. However, that never came to anything, and Palace signed him on loan. He's a big lad. He looked all right. He looked like he made some good runs and he would get into some good attacking positions. But I think it was I think from Hodgson's point of view, that was the wrong game to put him into, because if you're gonna put a new player into the Premier League, you don't want to put them against one of the top pressing teams in the league. Now Leeds, the energy that Leeds show when they attack and when they defend and when they press is almost second to none to anybody in the league. So when you put in a big bulky striker who's not the best technically with the ball at his feet in there, he's not going to do great. There was a lot of times where I think he was getting frustrated with not getting any service because Crystal Palace were playing a low block and they weren't getting any counter-attacks, particularly that gave him much to go on. He kept coming back to try and get a little bit of the ball, but when he did, he would lose the ball and then we would get counter-attacks, and our first goal actually was given away by him. So I think it was the wrong call to put him in for that game, and I understand that Hodgson has almost got a full starting 11 injured, but he did have Benteke and Batshuayi on the bench who were both used to playing in the Premier League, so I think that was a bit of a bad call from him, and I think that might be a bit of a knock to Mateta's confidence. Not that it really matters to me as a Leeds fan, but from a neutral perspective, it's not the sort of first game you'd want a new signing to be put into. About a minute after Batshuayi came on, he created a brilliant chance for Eze where Batshuayi followed Ayling to the far touchline almost. Ayling stopped the ball and sort of his momentum carried him past it, and Batshuayi nicked it off him. He laid it back as a little cutback, as sort of what Leeds do a lot of the time, into the sort of central area of the box, and Eze just skies it over the bar. I think that was their best chance, really, the most clear cut. But I know the commentators were saying that Eze should have done better with that chance, but I know from actually playing football in real life that when somebody rolls it across to you like that, it's actually hard to get your head over it and keep it down. I know these are professional footballers, but it's one of those things where when it's a snapshot, it's more instinct than technique when it's rolled across to you like that and you've just got to hit it. And I think that sort of played a part in that, and that's why he blazed it over the bar. In the 71st minute, Leeds had another good chance. Well, actually, I wouldn't count it as a good chance. It was something that Dallas created for himself. He was quite a way out, and he just thought, right, well, I'm going to have a shot. And he had a crack at it, and it was flying in the bottom corner, in the bottom left corner as you look at the goal, and Guaita gets down to it. I think Guaita is a very good keeper as a shot stopper. I don't think he's amazing with his feet, but I think he's a very good shot stopper, and I think it would have been more definitely if he wasn't playing. A few minutes later, Ayew came off and Benteke came on. Now, throughout this game, I was thinking that I'm not sure if Ayew is any good, because he's got the ability to beat a man, and a lot of the time you think, like, he looks good, he looks decent, he looks like a good attacking player. But it's his final product. He scored 1 goal this season, and it was against us. From what I've seen of him, he's very good at beating a man, and he can pick a pass as well. It's his finishing. He hesitates a lot. It's a little bit of the BAMFORD'S from last season, where you get too much time to think about it, and a player comes out and blocks it because you don't have that much time to shoot in the Premier League. So I think he can be better, but he wasn't. He looked dangerous today because he was bringing counter-attacks by beating a man. But when he actually got through, I was never really worried about him scoring. About 5 minutes from time, Harrison hit the bar after Nathaniel Klein, gave the ball away in midfield. Harrison's running through on goal. He sort of tries to do a bit of a laces shot, and it just pings off the bar. I think he should have scored, to be honest. I don't know really why he went with that technique, but as I was saying before, in those snapshot moments, it's more where the ball has landed in front of you dictates where you shoot. He might have been bearing down on goal, and the ball's just sort of come to his right a little bit. He's not as confident on his right foot, and he's tried to outside of the foot it, and it's hit the bar in the end, but obviously it didn't affect the scoreline. But I think that's just something that we can improve upon, is taking our chances. Because I think there was a statistic on the coverage that said that if Leeds had scored all of the goals that had hit the woodwork this season, we'd have been ahead of United and scored the most goals in the league. So, I mean, that says something, doesn't it? If we can become a little bit more clinical, that could make all the difference in terms of league position. We could climb a few places. Having said that, we have made it into 10th, and I think it's an amazing first season back in the Premier League. I'm going to say it now, there's no danger of us going down. I think we only need 2 wins now. Maybe 1 win to be safe this season. One blight on this game was that Calvin Phillips went off injured at the end, and the thing is with that is that he'd already been down injured about 10-15 minutes before. I understand that he's one of our most important players, so Bielsa probably wants him to stay on as long as possible to try and see out a victory because he is just that good. But he was struggling towards the end of that game, and I just hope it's not something that's going to rule him out. You'd have thought if it was a serious injury, then he wouldn't have been able to carry on to start with. Well, that's what I'm hoping, just from a Leeds fan's point of view. Leeds started to play round at the back quite pragmatically towards the end of that game. Right at the end, and I almost didn't really understand what I was watching for the first time in however long. I don't know if this was something that Bielsa instructed them to do or something the players took upon themselves to do, but they just passed it round at the back and held onto the ball and wasted time. Like, you just don't see that from Leeds very often. Usually their philosophy is that attack is the best form of defence, and before long, we were up there and Alioski was blazing across the box, and it nearly went in. So, yeah, same old in the end. Overall, I think we deserve to win, just based on the amount of good chances that we created in the game, and I just want to give a few plaudits to Rafinha first for how well he played, because he was unbelievable again today, and I think it's one of his best performances in a Leeds shirt. He didn't get his goal, and I think he was really disappointed at the end of that game. He was sort of cursing, I think, on the pitch at the end. But I think he was absolutely fantastic again today, and I think he's one of our best players, and definitely at the moment on current form, he is our best player. He's just absolutely lighting up the Premier League, and to have only got him for 17 million is an absolute steal. In terms of Palace, they were level with us on points going into this game, and I think it's a very different style of football, playing that low block and bringing the counter-attack. It's not a wrong way to play. I'd rather watch Leeds and be a Leeds fan, obviously, but just in terms of if I was a neutral, I would definitely still rather watch Leeds because of the way we play. But Palace, they won't go down, obviously. They're in a good position, and I think Roy Hodgson is, as much as a lot of people meme him online, he obviously is a good manager, especially given his track record at Inter Milan and stuff back in the day. He was one of the top managers in Europe. Now he's a bit older. He's almost, I won't say he's behind the times, but he's almost one of those last bastions of that generation of manager that plays that low block. I think Palace are good enough to play a more attacking football given the attacking flair that they have. They remind me in the talent that they've got in their ranks a bit of the way Ian Wright described his time at Palace, when him and Mark Bright and some of the other young lads were coming through and sort of replacing the old guard. And it was a young, vibrant, attacking Palace team, and I'd like to see more of that from them. I think Eze, Zaha, Ayew, like I said, he's not got a brilliant final product, but he can beat a man, and he can be exciting to watch at times. So I think Palace can only go up. I think their trajectory depends on their next manager, because I think Roy Hodgson now is a manager who will stabilise you in mid-table, play a not aesthetically pleasing brand of football, but he'll solidify you there, like I say. But you want that manager, that young, vibrant, attacking style manager, to come in next after him and just give you that bit of a push to get a few league places higher. But if any Palace fans are watching, let me know what you think about that, whether I'm completely wrong or whether you've got any different opinions, whether you agree with me. But that's going to be it for this video. I'll see you after the Arsenal game, and if you want to subscribe, click the subscribe button down below and click the notification bell so you're always reminded when I upload, and follow me on Twitter at Leeds_Lately. Thanks for watching.